Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new unfiltered interview edition. I am here with Bishop, and let me tell you something. We are going to have a juicy show. We are talking about Straight Chaser, No Filter podcast with Bishop. Now, I will put all of those links down below, but we are going to have a fun filled episode. So, this is going to be more of a conversation piece as opposed to so much of an interview because I like having these creators come on and share their input on everything that's been going on, political wise and life wise. If you are new here, welcome. I do interviews, I do Pathetically Unfiltered, and yes, the long awaited Unfiltered Rabbit Hole. I actually have somebody working with me that is helping me put the next episode together. So look out for that. And if you are not new, welcome back. Let's get started. Bishop, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you here. Let's get started on you and a little bit of your background because I try to watch all of your lives. Sometimes, life gets in the way or I'm working and I'm not able to sit down. But for the most part, I get such a crack out of your sarcasm. It's like right up my alley. So, how did you find your place in TikTok? It's very rare to have somebody to actually carry alive by themselves for an hour and a half, which I think is awesome. Like, I can't do it. You know what I mean? I could do it for about 5 or 10 minutes, but you're like, you're on the ball. So, how did you find your place in doing these lives on your own?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today. Well, I started off, I was already on TikTok already. And then, Trump comes in the office a second time. And I did have a job. I was a government employee at one time. But unfortunately for me, the agency that I was with was dismantled. And so it left me, with no gig. And I was sitting at home and I'm on TikTok and I'm talking about different things and trying to find my way. And I've always loved politics. And I mostly would do a lot of my commentary really at home talking to my family, which they were tired of hearing it because they're not really into politics the way I'm into politics.
Right,
And
right.
it's like sports, that's how not in terms of I take it more seriously than that, but I get that same feeling of watching sports. And so I started just doing videos on TikTok talking about it. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to do something where I can just talk and not be bound to a couple of seconds or a minute or two in a video. So I just started doing lives based on upon what I was seeing happening and giving my version of commentary on what was going on because I wasn't seeing my version of commentary anywhere on TikTok. And so that's why I was like, I can't be the only person that feels this way about some of this stuff. And I'm tired of seeing conservatives have all the fun because that's how I interpreted their level of trolling. It was like, it's not really a serious conversation. Well, how about if I take their method of having this discussion and turn it into a serious conversation, but also use some satire, some irony in there, expose the hypocrisy. And so that's essentially how I got started. I just turned on my phone and just kept showing up. And I love politics. And because I stay all the time trying to find out the things that are happening, it just is something that's fun for me. It's fun. I don't consider it actually work more so than fun.
Which what if we're pursuing a career, that's what it should stand for. We should be having fun in what it is that we love to do. And I think because of that love, you attract people who love that same type of content and information because we get the sarcasm. I sent you a video earlier and I was listening to the man talk on the Lincoln Project. I've never seen him before, but I was listening to him. And one thing that he said that really stood out is we should never stop talking about racism. We have a lot of so called content creators or
Mhm.
people who comment on, well, racism didn't exist or stop talking about it and it will go away. That's like one of the big things that they say. When you hear people repeat those words, maybe if you stop talking about it, it will go away. while it's blatantly thrown in our face, well, you're a brown person, you're not that smart, or you're not that intelligent, how they try to induce and create problems as if people of color did something wrong by just existing. I think for many years, okay, we were fed that white was pure and clean and right, whereas everybody else wasn't.
Mhm.
So when you hear, if you stop talking about it, maybe it will go away. What is your response to that?
My response to that is usually, that's not how racism works. Just because you don't want to talk about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And if you don't want to talk about it, that means it makes you feel uncomfortable. So imagine how the rest of us feel when we're actually dealing with racism. You just don't want to talk about it. Imagine
Mhm.
living in it. Because to me, it's usually people who they don't want to have the conversation because it's going to require them to to get to the core of things that really they don't want to deal with. Ultimately, they don't want to deal with them. That's why they want you to stop talking about it. I
Mhm.
don't want to have to deal with the consequences of what these things did to a whole class and race of people and still doing to those people. It's not
Mhm.
like any of that stuff stopped. It just changed in how they exerted their oppression, right? But it never went anywhere. And so that's usually how I deal with it. I honestly, in my opinion, I think the post-racial people are somewhat more dangerous than racist,
Mhm.
because post-racial people are people who try to act like racism doesn't exist. Even when racism is happening, they say it's not happening. A
Right.
racist will at least admit that there is racism. But
Mhm.
post-racial people will go, "Oh, no, no, no. That's not what they meant. They meant this." They try to do all this gaslighting. So to me, they're even more dangerous because you're excusing the behavior. You're allowing the behavior to be promoted and fester. You're not shaming it, you're not speaking against it. And in many ways, I feel like they agree with the racism, but they're just not brave enough to be racist.
Do you think what we have dubbed as the Blaga community, black people who are for Trump, who are convinced that Trump isn't a racist, a lot of them do not know about black history, about slavery. Slavery is probably the most disgusting parts of the United States of America. And what that man mentioned in the video, it wasn't about owning a person, raping them, hurting them on purpose just to see what would happen, torturing black people because of their skin color. Why don't they understand this? Do they not want to understand the pain that people have gone through to build this country? Acknowledging that this happened and that it is unacceptable to promote and advocate for someone who has been promoting hate for as long as he had a microphone in front of him.
I honestly, I think for many of them, not all certainly, but for many of them, they grew up in education systems that were led and controlled by white people. Like I grew up in a black school system. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. school system, markedly
Mhm.
different, controlled by black people. The majority of my teachers were black teachers. I had a much different experience than I
Mhm.
think a black person that may have grown up in Kentucky or Iowa. You know what I mean? It's a much different experience. So I think that for some black people who grew up in situations like that because they've never learned their true history, their parents didn't teach them their true. I also had family members that would teach us black history. And we didn't always learn about black people in school. We would learn about it outside of school too. School just was a gateway to certain things, but certainly
Right.
not to everything. So I think for a lot of people, it's lack of, like you said, knowledge of history. And some of it, I akin it to. when people go through trauma, sometimes they try to avoid things that would trigger and remind them of their
Mhm.
trauma. So they do
Mhm.
everything possible to avoid the real thing, to avoid a trigger on something else. Some of them are looking for acceptance. They want to be like, and I'm going to be candid here. They want to be to white people, I'm a safe black person. You're safe with me. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, that I would, if I was white, I wouldn't feel safe by that by proxy because I would go, well, what do you mean I'm safe with you? Like, what are you trying to say about me? You know what I mean? By making that statement to me. So I feel like just a lot of them are just, and they want to look and seem special. Some people would rather be a big fish in a small pond
Mhm.
than a small fish in a big pond. And for
Right.
them, that's what matters. I'm that one or two token black that's here in the room with everybody else, golly gee willikers. And I'm not, I know what you mean. We blacks got to work harder. And it's like, but they don't see you any different than the people that you're allowing them to talk about in your face. But they've disassociated. They don't
Mm.
think they're like us. They're the different ones. And I just people like that, I kind of leave them where they are because I actually know some people like that. And I don't really deal with them. Because I
Mhm.
go, they're I'll end in this portion. People who think like that about that stuff tend to have a lot of other opinions and thoughts that are also questionable. I find
Mhm.
that it's not just that. It's like a couple of other things that they also seem to all think. And I have to wonder, I don't know, I don't want to say, is there a school or something that you go to, like a special training class y'all all go to that y'all all end up with these thoughts? But it just seems like they all watch the same YouTube videos and fall into
Mhm.
the same dark holes and have the same mindsets, which make them incapable of seeing the reality of what it is. They're just incapable of doing that.
And then, I think other people are just grifting because
Oh
they
yeah.
realize on TikTok they can make money with that type of content of
Hmm.
being an opposition. So
Hmm.
they will do things deliberately to be able to make money off of people, off of that grift, which I've seen, in other lives.
I've seen
But
that,
it,
but that doesn't last. The people
uh,
that I see do that, they can do it. The problem is you can only keep up with it for so long. Look at
mhm,
Candace. It
mhm,
didn't, she couldn't keep up with it. She can't keep up with it because at some point, when you are promoting that type of mindset and those things, at some point, those people that you're promoting are already deplorable people. So
mhm,
eventually, they're going to say something about people that either look like you or from your demographic or community. What do? Continue to act like it was never said? Of course, you're going to have to address it. So at some point, you're going to have to deal with some stuff. And so I just, even for the grifters, at some point, the runway runs on out on it. It's run out on Charlie Kirk. The
right.
same thing. He did all this grifting for rich people, but Charlie Kirk ain't got the type of money that these people have. So he's
Mhm,
still not one of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's no long term plan for it. It's short term gains, but there's no
mhm.
long term goal that ever comes from it. Anything of value, anyway.
When you look at what's happening with the political climate now, like a lot of your lives, you've been super informative about groceries, about food. Yes, I am right there with when the pizza was like $1.50. You know what I mean? And you can still get a drink, a cup of soda with that pizza. Like I remember those days. As a matter of fact, 225th and Broadway in the Bronx, there's a pizzeria still there. And we would go there almost every day after high school because the high school that used to be there wasn't too far away. So we would all just gravitate there. Times have changed. It's no longer the same. You still may have the 25-cent juice, but the
Yep.
chips are now $1. So you're not spending 50 cents on the juice and the chips, which was a quarter. And with that dollar, you can get like two candy bars. So you can actually walk out with four things that were worth a quarter each.
Mhm.
When you tell people about grocery prices and things that are happening, how do you find all of this information? Because for me, I'm like, where is she getting, like, how can I be better, in storage, in building, in saving, especially like with a limited income?
For me, I grew up poor. That's really the base of it. I grew up poor, and my family always found a way to be resourceful. I had family members in my family who grew their own food, who slaughtered their own animals. They lived off the land.
Hmm.
Then I also had family that lived in the city. So I had two spectrums. I had the
Hmm.
country life family, and then I have the family that knows how to survive in poverty in the city, which is a different type of survival, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so my mother, she always kind of, a lot of it I get from my mom, because my mother always made it her business to find creative ways to have more with less. Because her
Hmm.
thing was, yeah, we're poor, but we're not poor.
Right.
Her thing was, we're still rich with love, with knowledge, all these other things. We just
Hmm.
may not always have the money that we want to have. So that's when you got to get creative. And so for me, I remember a lot of those things my mother taught me, which still apply today. Other people I talk to, they tell me things because I'm one of those people. I'll ask, "Hey, what do you do to save money on such and such?" I don't have a problem asking people because people that know me know I don't like to pay full price. I have this thing that I am allergic to full price. So any opportunity I can have to get a deal, I am
Hmm.
going to get a deal. That's just, it's almost like a game, it's a challenge for me. Like every time I'm like, okay, let me see how I can make this thing work, and how I can get some money. I do some of that. I read a lot of message boards. I do a lot of reading. So I read a lot of
Hmm.
message boards, I read articles, I read a lot of social media. I see what people are saying, to be honest with you. Because
Hmm.
that's where you get stuff from regular everyday people, not rich people. I tell you who I never listen to. I never listen to rich people. I listen to regular everyday people. And frankly, I go a lot off my own experiences because we're in 2025 now. I would say for at least 25 years. Yeah, I'm 50 now. Yeah, I would say about at least 25, 20 years. I have already been saying in my personal life, slowly watching prices go up, where I say to my husband hears me say it all the time, but I even say to people like, yo, you see the price of cheese. Is it just me? Nobody's upset that the price that cheese keeps going up. I was saying this 20 years ago. Like, when did we get 18 slices or $6? Then it became $8. Everybody's in the cheese out acting like it's nothing, just throwing it in the cart. And I'm like, and maybe it's just me, but cheese was like $2. Nobody said a word. I watched the price of milk slowly rise. So as I slowly watched the price of things rise over time, I was always like this. Now I'm finally glad to see everybody else catch up. And now we're all sharing things. And so when I hear people tell me about ways to save money, ways to make things stretch, I like to share it with other people because I know I don't have a job right now, but I know how it is to have a job, always be working, burning the candle at both ends. You don't have time to dig through all the stuff. So if you come in to spend time with me, I'm going to try to make sure you have information that you can use after that experience, and hope that it's helpful to you. And all I ask is that you pay it forward and share that information with somebody else that it may help. Because then it all helps all of us, I think.
Right. And it's definitely helping me, believe me when I
Awesome.
tell you. Now let's dive into the politics of
Sure.
right now. What are your thoughts on everything that's going on? I mean, when somebody you had that picture in the background of the
Mhm.
ankles,
Oh,
and
yeah.
somebody in the chat said, who is that? And you said, Bigfoot. I fell the fuck out. I could not stop laughing. At that moment, I believed that Bigfoot existed. I said,
We've all
"Oh
seen
shit,
him.
Bigfoot is real." This man did not want to disclose the failing health that he allegedly has, okay? But we're seeing it. We're seeing it live on TV, the swerving on the red carpet, not being able to walk straight, the giddiness of seeing Putin. I'd never seen anything like that in
Mhm.
my life. I mean, he loves that man. And something that that man said in the Lincoln Project, that the reason why they love Russia so much, it's run by a white man. Everybody in society is white. There are allegedly no gay people. There aren't women running shit. And they look at that country as a figment, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's like a figment in their imagination of how the United States should be. But
Mhm.
we're not. We're never going to be that.
Right.
And I think this is the trouble that they are understanding. We are never going to be like that country. When you see everything that's going on in real time, what are you thinking? What is happening and what could
Mhm.
happen? Because they're talking about, today's the 23rd.
Right.
I've heard rumors, witch talk, psychic, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Who knows? You know what I mean? What goes through your mind? Like, do you look at your phone immediately? Are you dreading, like, seeing more disturbing images that we have been seeing with ICE
Mm.
attacking Black and brown people, especially the Latino community? Like, believe me when I tell you, as a Latin woman, I'm very upset.
Yeah.
But I also understand to a point that when we were growing up, we were led to believe that we were also white. And I'm
Yep.
saying to myself, but
Yep.
my skin color doesn't match what you're saying.
Mhm.
And I'm not being treated like the white people.
Mhm.
So I don't understand what's going on here. Get with a white guy, just
Wow.
raise your
Yep.
race. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, oh, what? Things like that
Mhm.
that were taught growing up. And I just started talking about this recently. Like, I think people were a little confused. Why did Latinos think that they were white?
Mm.
Because this is what our elders were
Boom.
telling us.
Yep. Yep.
And
And it's also what
sorry to
America
hurt,
tells you.
right. Sorry to hurt anybody's feelings
Yep.
and exposing, but hello, this is unfiltered.
Yep.
So y'all gonna know the truth. Okay. But when you see things happening in real time, like my whole thing with the Latinos, I don't want to be lumped in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because I'm a Latin woman. I want people to know that I'm completely against this. But at the same time, if this is what you voted for, it's like you're fucking around and finding out because you never got out of that chain. You
Yep.
didn't break the chain into,
Mhm.
I will vote for Donald Trump. I did not hear that song ever until somebody was playing. I went to my father. I said, "Is there a song?
Yep.
Is there a Latin song?" Yes. I mean, he was so mad because my father. He was born in Puerto Rico. He came here as a
Ah,
child,
okay.
so when he sees shit like that, he's like disgusted.
Exactly.
He's very much into salsa. You can't tell him anything. So for his lineage of music to be mixed in with that,
Mhm.
no, no. So when you see all of these things going on in real time, does it stress you out? Do you navigate? Like, are you navigating ways to deal with it? Because we got the people that are easily coming in and fear mongering people that we're going to starve to death. We're all going to die kind of an attitude. How do you find a way personally navigating through this? How are you teaching yourself to be stronger in the midst of insanity, basically?
Okay. Well, I'll be honest and be vulnerable. There are moments that I have, like a couple of days ago, I was having a really tough day. I was like, I am so sick and tired of this. This guy's back again, causing more issues again. Everything's all screwed up. Da, 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 da. and I, sometimes you just got to get it out. But then there's also this moment where I understand when you get so caught up in your emotions that you can't have any clarity and you can't be strategic. So you got, I remember it's what my mother always says, get out of your feelings, ain't no money in there. And facts ain't feelings, and feelings ain't facts. So it's like I can feel whatever way I want to feel, but I got to keep my head about me so I can be clear about what's happening. And so for me, a lot of times when a lot of the way that I deal with the stuff is for me, I'm not surprised by any of it. You know what I mean? I'm not surprised because I knew that racism wasn't dead.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this doesn't surprise me. More than anything, anytime I do get surprised, I am surprised at when I see portions of white America wake up and realize that racism never died, and the ones who are genuinely shell shocked by that, the ones who genuinely come to the realization, oh my God, all this time Black people were right. All this time Hispanic people were right. You understand what I'm saying? Those people, I go, wow, I can't imagine what it's like to live a life under a veil like that, because that's how I consider it, a veil. So for me, the way that I navigate through it is understanding that racism has no low, that it won't go. It has nothing that racism won't do, because we know that from looking at slavery and looking at history. There is nothing racists will not do. So as long as you never forget that, you can never be surprised by what they'll do, and you can be strategic and you get out of your emotions so you understand how to be responsive to what they're doing. And I think personally the best way to change what's happening is malicious compliance.
Mm-hmm.
Malicious compliance. How did the Black Panther Party, like, I remember one of the reasons why we ended up having gun control was because the Black Panther Party started carrying guns.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? If you want gun control in America, Black people get guns.
Right.
People of color get guns. Because I guarantee then your government will want to do gun control. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden they care about, safety of the people. It's that thing. I to me, when I see what's happening, I look at it as ways of challenge accepted. What is it that we need to do to counter that? That's why I've been loving what Gavin Newsom is doing. Because to me, he is countering that negativity by using their same approach to things, but at the same time, following the law and doing it the
Mm-hmm.
right way, so that even the people who want to complain that did it the wrong way, that did it the illegal way, it ain't a daggone thing they can do about it. That I love more. So for me, and I was also taught not to sit and focus on the negative. Like, and maybe that's the Buddhist in me too, of I know what my problem is. Now it's time to focus on the solution. Because sitting there suffering, right, isn't going to change what's happening to you. Move beyond the suffering and get to the healing, get to a solution. And so that's where I am. And so again, I look at my commentary and all those things as a way of helping people make sense of what's happening, because I know some people, they didn't know how to put it into words. And
Mm-hmm.
so my words help them to be able to put it into words. I was like, hey, you can say the same exact thing I'm saying. I don't mind. Whatever it takes for you to counter that mess in your personal life and continue to keep your sanity, you do that. But I guarantee you, if you take the approach that I'm telling you, it'll work, because trolls hate trolls. They're
Yes.
allergic to that. They're not allergic to much, but trolls are allergic to trolls. So that's how I manage it. And I don't, there are times when you need to stop ingesting that stuff. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Get away from your telephone, turn off the television, get away from the computer, because they're constantly feeding you the negative stuff. It's everywhere. So, in order not to get overwhelmed, there are times you just need to watch a movie, read a good book, go, take a spa bath in your bathroom, but don't consume yourself with all things that are this mess at all times. You got to learn to go take care of you first, because Everything they do is not a reflection of you. So
Right.
if you didn't vote, you didn't vote for it. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. So don't carry that burden.
Shit.
Go on with your life. Put that energy into you.
Hmm.
That's the big thing that I would tell people. Put this energy in to you and your communities. Because when you put the energy into yourself and your communities, you're going to be better for it. Your community will. All
Hmm.
these people that are putting their energy into Trump, their communities won't be any better for it, and they won't.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And you just reminded me because I was watching Rick Wilson from the Lincoln
Mm.
Project before that video, and he was talking about how Democrats are actually complaining how Gavin Newsom is responding. And he's like, but this is the reason why we're in this mess in the first place. We have got to stop turning the other cheek.
Yep.
We have to fight fire with fire. You just said it. The way Gavin Newsom is doing it outwardly and legally. He's
Hmm.
talking about the steps of what we are going to do. The Republicans are not doing that. They're being shady, they're being
Hmm.
grimy, and they're doing things behind closed doors. And they have been doing things behind closed doors since they took over the White House. And
Hmm.
everything that they are doing is unethical. Everything. There's not one ethical thing that any of those people have done. And you have lipless lion Levitt up in the helm talking all that bullshit, with Orange floating all about her lips.
Yep.
Pam Bondi. Sometimes I think to myself, did this happen for a reason? I always say on my lives, right? When Obama became president, I'll never forget it. I will never forget that moment. Okay, I was living in the Bronx, my hometown, and I was sitting on my luxury sectional, and I was talking to my friend and I was crying. And I said I never thought that I would see this day with my own eyes. Understand that when I was in the 8th grade, I wrote my book report on Martin Luther King. And that's when I discovered that I could write. And I remember I couldn't find a title for it. And my uncle said, why don't you just call it The Road to Equality?
Mm.
And to me, that was such a powerful title. And when Obama came around, I felt like, here's the road to equality. We're here.
Mhm.
We made it. It's happening. And I'm here to experience it. We were surfing and we forgot.
Yep.
We forgot what was lurking in the background
Mhm.
and what they were doing. So when you hear people say they were playing the long game, they were.
Mhm.
They were in the background strategizing and
Yep.
we were celebrating because I think for a lot of us, at least the way I thought, we rode that hurdle. We were
Mm.
now seeing it in the past.
Mm.
And I have 34 years clean and sober. Okay, I
Oh,
just made 34 years in June. 12-step meetings.
mhm.
Those who forget are doomed to repeat. That
Yep.
person that you're sitting in the corner begging, that could be you in an
Mm.
instant. And I'm like, well, what do they mean by that? What do they mean? It took me a while for me to understand. There's a saying that they say, there for the grace of God, there go I. But for the
Yep.
grace of God, there
Yep.
go I.
Yep.
Because that could be me
Yep.
if I forget where I came from.
Mhm.
And I feel for a lot of us, we forgot. And then here comes sailing in Mr. White Savior. I'm going to save the white race.
Yep.
And everybody just rode on that bandwagon.
Mhm.
And it's disturbing. It's disturbing. So when Rick Wilson says that some of these Democrats are making these comments about Gavin Newsom and saying, like, turn the other cheek,
Mhm.
weren't they the ones like creating the images of Trump in Superman, in rescuing cats and dogs?
Exactly. It's always when I hear liberals say stuff like this. because I call them Puritan liberals, and it annoys me. It's one of those things like, why do you always feel like you have to like act like you're like that? I'm above that. It's like, but are you really? Are you really? Like, why do you feel like you need to be above it? Because the people that you're fighting against, while you're up here in the clouds and I'm above that, they down there meeting people where they are. You understand? They're meeting people where they are, and they're being sensational. Why? Because people live busy lives. You got to find a way to like get somebody's attention. Trump understands that. He
Mhm.
understands how to get people's attention. Even if you don't like what he's saying, he's still going to make you pay attention to him. Democrats want to do this long, drawn out speech and all. Nobody cares. You're doing all, nobody cares. What are you going to do to make it so I can have more money in my bank account, more food in my fridge, and more opportunities for my community? That's the stuff people cares about. Trump is tapping into the people who think they were wronged because of their race, right? He's tapping
Mhm.
into that, but he's still tapping into something. He has a clear message. I feel like Democrats, they just always want to be, I, I'm going to just say it. They always want to act like the adult in the room. And they
Mhm.
haven't come to the realization that politics now is akin to two toddlers fighting. You know what I mean? Over a toy. And we're the toy, and they're just fighting over who gets to control us. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. So when Democrats try to go, oh, no, 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 I'm beyond fighting over toys, it's like, you're really not. You're still a kid, just like this other kid. Get your ass over there and fight for this damn toy. And so I love that Gavin won't let up. I am hoping that other Democrats that are already there step up to follow the same lead. But if they don't, I think that this is prime opportunity for other liberals who haven't ever been in politics to get in politics and turn that ship. Because I'm sorry, it just seems to me the Democratic leadership is too focused on riding the fence because they also want undecideds, they want independents. I say no, forget all of that. At the end of
Mhm.
the day, be very clear about your policies, be very clear that you lean into socialism and why it's not bad. And then people have to make a choice because the only other alternative is for big businesses and billionaires. And if you're not that and you're voting for that, well, guess what? I'm not going to get your vote anyway, right? I'm not
Mhm.
going to. So why am I trying to cater to you? So the leadership has got to get away because I think this starts at leadership telling other Democrats, oh, no, 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 we don't do that. But Gavin Newsom isn't listening to them. He's a governor. So he's
Right.
going to do whatever the hell he want to do. You know what I mean? I have a mandate from the people of California. So I'm going to
Mhm.
do what the people of my state want me to do. I think congressmen and senators, though, can be heavily impressed upon Democratic leadership what to do and what not to do. Democrats better take off the gloves, put some Vaseline under their eyes, put that hair up into a ponytail, and get to scrapping.
You're
That's what
right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So I want to thank you. I just want to say
sure.
in closing, do you believe that we will surpass this, and that once we do, is it important as a society to stay involved with politics? Like, the surfing is over. Do you
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? For me, I feel like we have to remain vigilant so
Yes.
this doesn't happen again. It's not going to make the racist go away, but moving forward, how do we as a society continue to be proactive? Because I feel like we're being proactive now, even though it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like it's enough.
Right.
How do we continue to be proactive?
I think the first thing that society has got to remember is you can never not pay attention to your government. When you don't pay attention, your government is going to do whatever it wants to do for the group that is paying attention. You
Hmm.
see? Rich and powerful people and religious people have been paying attention. And so government reflects the fact that they have been paying attention. So the first thing is to remember you got to always keep your eye on government. The second piece, remembering that it works for you. You don't work for it, right? We pay the salaries of our elected representatives. And even if you didn't vote for them, if they represent you, they still need to listen to you. You still have a voice. So you need to be actively engaged. Don't let politicians tell you, "Oh, let us take care of it. You don't need to know all the details." No, when it's your money, yes, you absolutely do need to know all the details. I think for many Americans with their government, they kind of set it and forget it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just kind of use that mindset of, well, I'll let them handle it. I voted them into office. It's nothing I need to focus on. But when you are out of sight, you are out of mind. That's the thing I want you to remember. When you are out of sight, you are out of mind. You are not going to be the priority for elected officials because you ain't even at the table. You're not even keeping an eye on them. Companies and big business, they're keeping an eye on the congressmen and the senators and the governors, all these elected officials that they put money into. They keep an eye on those people because they expect those people to make good on the things that they invested in to make sure that they would happen. So you better make sure that you keep an eye on them to say too, like, "Hey, congressperson, why are you trying to convince us to allow this organization to come in and build a stadium tax free and then give us low wage jobs?" No, that's not going to help us. That helps them.
Yeah.
Instead of letting them do it and then try to fix it after the fact. I think America has this trauma bond with this government. It waits until it gets treated really bad to even
Yep.
care about doing anything. You got to break that cycle and be more proactive because we've allowed too many rich and powerful people to take control of government because we haven't been more actively engaged. We
Correct.
got to leave the distractions because the rich people put the distractions in front of us too. The movies, the social medias, all this stuff is put there so you don't pay attention to the things that matter. And government is boring. I mean,
Mhm.
let's be honest. Government is pretty mundane and boring for the most part. I know I've worked in government. It is not nearly as exciting as the politicians talk about on TV. It's not nearly as exciting. However, I think that politicians have to get better with their messaging to make it more engaging. But I also think that people need to stop expecting politics to be entertainment because
Right.
it's not. It's not going to be in it. You don't get. Well, I'm not paying attention because it wasn't a video with music. It's like grow up, right? Everything isn't going to be entertainment, but you still need to be engaged. And because we have access to AI and all these tools, I get it that it can be overwhelming. It's lawyers who write these bills and all these proposals. Put the stuff in AI. Ask
Mhm.
AI to explain it to you like you're in eighth grade. It will. I do it all the time because I want to understand it. So ask it to explain it to you in a way that you can understand it. Just do it. Sometimes I say, explain it to me like I'm five. Because sometimes eighth grade, I'm still like, what? I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. So if anybody says, well, maybe eighth grade too much, sometimes I say, explain it to me like I'm five. Just give me the basic bare bones of it all. So that's what I would say. Use the technology accessible to you as well. And because it will allow you to stay actively engaged in your government. But don't give up, folks. Don't give up. That's what the opposition expects you to do. Don't do that. That's the big thing that I say. But we're gonna nothing that is worth having isn't going to be hard to get it. This is going to be hard. To have the country you want is hard. Just as hard.
Mhm.
It was hard for them to do all this stuff that they've gotten to this point now. They played the long game. It was hard, but they remained focused. They had a strategy and they executed on it. So if you want to
Mhm.
change it, you're going to have to put your work into. So that's why I ask
Right.
people, what are you willing to do?
That is a very good question. And we're going to leave it at that. Get some people thinking exactly what it is that they want to do. Bishop, I cannot thank you enough for being on this episode. You are the absolute best. Everybody, please check her out. I'm going to let her say her links because I don't want to fuck it up. Okay. So let her promote her links.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I'm in my mind trying to organize my links, right? So I don't mess it up, right? So you can check me out on my website, www.straightfactsnofilter.com. That's where you can find out about my podcast, the Straight No Chaser podcast. You can check us out over on Patreon, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm at Spotify, Substack. I'm all over the place. But just check me out at straightfactsnofilter.com and you can get everything you need there. And thank you so much for having me today, Maribel. I appreciate it, beautiful.
I appreciate you always. You are so informative. And please keep talking about food because that's my favorite part. You take me back so much. I love it. I'm like, oh my God, I miss all that. Thank you. Thank you so much again. I appreciate your time. And everyone, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, share this video, hit like, comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are on this whole political climate and everything that's going on. And with all that being said, always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other. Most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.